Thank you, Rob. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Tompkins County Industrial Development Agency for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Welcome to our guests. And first order of business is privilege of the floor. I have one blue card. If anybody else in the room wishes to speak, they should fill out a blue card. And I understand we have one speaker waiting online. If there's anybody else, let us know. But I'd call on Teresa Alt. Welcome.
Okay, yes, live mic. I'm Teresa Alt, 206 Eddy Street, City of Ithaca. Two matters. One, I have been following the City of Ithaca's budget discussion. Dux Nguyen has been there and voting. Nobody else in this room is paying attention. The city's property tax income is so inadequate that the budget process has been heartbreaking. A series of no-win decisions. Yet you collectively blithely abate city taxes based on some very mistaken assumptions. Two, last week, an Ithaca Times article told about a report from Cornell's State Policy Advocacy Clinic that questions the legality of what IDAs are doing all over the state and here in Tompkins County. The Times reporter has not been very long in New York State and has no background. He fell for everything Rich John said. I have followed the IDA for a decade, with Rich John chairing for the last several years. John believes that without IDA subsidy, nothing would be built. Nonsense. What I see is one developer gives up and another immediately steps in. The gun factory site. Ross Travis sat on it for many years, gave up, Todd Fox stepped in, and the building is about to open. City Center is thriving, where another developer with a worse plan withdrew upon hearing that it would be voted down. The problem that I see is that your staff fail to adequately research the finances of applicants. Some have lots of money and don't need more. Some have way too little. Applications are simply believed. When a highly qualified citizen presents his voluntary research, he is ignored. I will now refer to 401 East State Street. I congratulate those of you who had the courage to vote down their latest request for more money. I can tell you they have not stopped building. Likely, they never needed that first subsidy.
Thank you. And then I think we have Zachary Wynn online. Go ahead, Zachary.
Hello. Hello, Rich. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. I emailed someone from the IDA, a news article and a legal filing from the Downtown Ithaca Development Agency, I believe, regarding a lawsuit against that organization, by that organization against Vecino Group New York. A few other entities are involved. I'm curious if you folks are familiar with this lawsuit. I imagine you might be or might have been already. And if you believe that the promises made by the Vecino Group at a previous meeting are being lived up to. I've had occasion to be in the building when visiting someone, and I can tell you there are, still obstructions in the common stairwells, feces, syringes, and the conference center itself seems to be hemorrhaging about $100,000 a month, $100,000 a month, approximately. And I'm just wondering if it might be time to start re-examining the tax abatement as a way to motivate Vecino to be a better steward to its property and to its tenants. I know this issue has been kind of percolating in the background for quite some time now. and quite a long discussion was devoted to it at a previous meeting. I would just like to know if there have been any developments, and again, if you believe that Vecino is living up to its promises and your expectations for managing the building. So with that said, I yield the remainder of my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just indicate we're happy to receive comment for the Development Corporation meeting as well at this time, but I'll open it up again when we get to that part of our agenda. Let's see, the next item is any additions to the agenda. Kelly, are there any changes?
Yes, we will add an executive session today to discuss a potential project financial information.
Okay. When we get to that, we'll take a vote. We can proceed to business. The first item is Caroline Solar, final approval. And
Yes, and today with us we have Chet Feldman here in person. Do you want to come
yeah,
up?
you're welcome to come up.
And online we have Amber Hall with Pure Sky Energy as well. And today we are meeting to go over the final approval for this project. On last Thursday, we did have the public hearings for the 4 projects that were held in the town of Caroline. And the minutes were handed, I believe Ina sent those out to you today and has hard copies as well. I will address one thing that was included in the public hearing. Thank you. And that is in regards to the differentiator between the request that the developer has made for the $3,900 per megawatt charge, as opposed to the standard policy of $4,200 per megawatt. In the letter from the Town of Caroline Supervisor, Mark Whitmer, he stated that he believed the chart that was included in the community benefit memo that was distributed at last month's meeting reflected just one of the 4 projects, and the difference that cost would be realized over just one of the projects, but it actually was the totality of the 4 projects. So that difference, if the project were to receive the benefit of the $3,900 per megawatt charge at the 17.5 total project, the difference would be $140,383. So that is for the totality of that project. And another thing I will add, and it was in your packet, is the breakdown of the interconnection costs. In here,
You have a page number on that?
I do. It is page 38. There's a breakdown and explanation of a few of the costs that are realized here. The total of those interconnection costs is over $6 million and 34 cents a watt. And typically, they're 10 cents. So you can see where the difference in this project, they're experiencing some significant cost differentials from typical solar projects.
Could you repeat those numbers again, please?
Yes. So the total interconnection cost is just over $6 million, $6.08 million, or 34 cents per watt AC, and typically they are 10 cents
Whoa.
per watt.
Why is that?
That's where the distance comes into play, and also, and please speak up if I am butchering any of this. And there's also the cost share and adjusted costs. The cost share is just over $3 million, and those are charges and grid improvements and upgrades that will impact the system at large. So people in that area and the grid will benefit from those upgrades that the project is doing along with their project. And the other expenses are project-specific expenses.
So is the increased interconnection cost the justification for deviating from the $4,200 average?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I ask
Jeff?
a question?
Yeah.
Just, on the cost share, so when they say that'll benefit the generator, which is you, and then the consumers, so like, how does it benefit the consumers?
Well, I think the more direct origin of the Cost Sharing 2.0 program was worked on by Joint Utilities of New York and industry, TCIDA, for that effect. And one of the efforts of that initiative was to reduce the first mover disadvantage, right? So if the state is trying to get more megawatts of green energy on, the first person in line, if they have to touch something in the substation, it could quickly go to millions, and they'll say, well, that doesn't make sense for us as the first person in line, and then the next person comes in line, they can't afford it either. But if you could spread it over several projects for that effort, industry, the solar industry is much more likely to follow through and carry on. So just parsing out slightly what Kelly was referring to is the initiation is because, it's going to make it easier for additional generators to come online. And as part of that whole process, some of it could qualify for Cost Sharing 2.0, some of it may not, but we have to put in additional protective schemes such as regulators or capacitors. We have to put in a voltage regulator inside the Brooktondale substation. So those elements help defend the grid at large, more resilient, more likely to be on a blue sky day.
So they're requiring you guys to put costs and improvements in there that will eventually at some point benefit someone else, that they won't have to do that in the future, then you're saying?
Well, yes.
Okay.
But if I could also flip in and talk about opportunity costs, right? What we do, right, is we are paying for upgrades for the grid that otherwise, in the future, if someone else, some new subdivision, some new industry wanted to come in and pull a new load, utility would turn around and say, well, I have to upgrade this system regardless here anyway, and I'll go to Albany, I'll make my case. That upgrade gets rate-based through all New York State customers. So we're a private deployment of said money instead of socializing over to rate base.
Okay.
Anybody else questions? Deborah, did you have oh, okay. All right, I think we've got four applications, and we probably need to vote on them separately. So could I get a motion on LLC 1? So we can put it on the floor to talk about. Deborah moves, Jeff seconds. Okay.
So for each of these, do we have to decide the 3,900 versus the 42?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess I'd open it up just with a general question. This is a deviation from our standard policy, and I'd like to get a test of comfort level with doing that. I mean, I think we have some indication that this is a different kind of project, and there would be system benefits that would help future development of alternative energy in the area, and probably just grid reliability in general. I would say I'm comfortable in this circumstance because I think it's explainable if another project comes in and says, well, we just want it cheaper too. We would want them to explain why. Yeah.
Right. As
Jared?
long as we're clear on that. I don't want to set a precedent here that we don't defend right up front so that we can go back to it.
Yeah. Deborah?
Yeah, I think that one of the factors that would influence me is the fact that it's costing them almost 3 times as much to connect. It's not your average project. I mean, my initial response was, well, it's only $5,600 a year. Why wouldn't we charge them or treat it at the usual rate? But that's an extra $4 million approximately that you're investing up front. So we need to consider that.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Right. Are we ready to vote on LLC 1
At 3,900.
at 3,900? Todd?
The final view from the Town of Caroline supervisor and stuff, so they were in favor of this, right?
They were,
Okay,
yes.
great, thank you.
Yeah, he did come to the public hearing and make comment, but, yeah, yes. Okay, Duxon,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. That's unanimous. Okay. Could I get a motion on LLC 2? Jerry moves. Jeff seconds. All right. Further discussion? Any reason to treat this differently, or we would proceed at the 39 number? Okay. Are we ready to vote? Duxon,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So, okay, and LLC 3. Deborah moves, Jeff seconds, all right.
We do all the seconds.
Just going second.
And again, this is at the requested deviation from our policy 3900. Ready to vote? Duxon,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. And no surprise, LLC 4. Jerry moves.
I got a second.
Jeff second, just, you got all the seconds there. Okay. At the 3900, I assume. Ready to vote? Duxon,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So congratulations. Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item of business is Yellow Barn Solar. And we will be holding an executive session later, and I guess I will share that the purpose of that executive session is to share some financial information with the IDA members. But I would like to just mention that Ina and Kelly and I had a chance to sit down with the town supervisors on Monday morning before the public hearing, and we had a really productive conversation. And it does look like there was some real progress on negotiations, which I can provide more information on when we get there. But I'll also share that I suggested that the IDA would be able to make some accommodation here. And I clearly indicated I was one of 7 and that I couldn't commit the IDA, but that I would propose that the IDA participate in some manner. But I'll give you more detail on that later. But it does appear we will be in a position to bring this onto our agenda in December, if the board is willing to do so. But I think there was some real progress. We'll see if we really get to the finish line, but that project, I think, made some steps forward. So more to come there. Kelly, do you have something to add?
We do have Zoe Yang and Rob Panassi and Ian Moskal online from Yellow Barn here, if the board has any questions or any conversation that they would like to have with the Yellow Barn team.
Oh, that's great. Is there anything further you want to share at this point?
Thank you for having us.
No, welcome.
Go ahead. I think, Kelly, we talked about this too. We have what we consider now an all-in number that all parties have agreed to. So we're happy to report that was this morning, and we appreciate everyone really working together to make this happen. And what we're going to do is come up with, what that breakdown really is, what the towns really want, and then come back and give you that breakdown. I didn't know if you had any questions.
I do not, but I'd open it up to other.
So does the all-in number include the IDA's share?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so you've got an all-in number, but you don't have an agreement on how to divvy it up.
That's what I think we have to have some conversation in an executive session on.
Okay.
But I'm pretty confident we can get where we need to go. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really it.
Okay.
Thank you.
More to come. And presuming that we are in agreement here after executive session, we'll see you in December.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is the Prompt Payment Act memo. And in your packet, we have a memo from Russ. Russ, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. I must confess that, pardon me, I can't take credit for the memo as I'm not a labor lawyer, but we had someone from our labor group prepare that. And I asked him to keep it at the 10,000 foot level. We don't need case law sightings, that type of thing, because this has been an ongoing discussion with this board. And the end of it is a suggestion, or, you know, if this wanted to be specific within our documents, I think, as I've mentioned in the past, we have language in our documents that you're required to comply with all applicable law. This, of course, would apply. If we wanted to add something including but not limited to the Prompt Payment Act, certainly that's something we could very easily do.
Yeah, I appreciate the memo, and I guess I'll jump in to say I think this is something we should add to our contract. As Russ indicated, it's New York State law, so we could do it now, but it makes it explicit. But again, as with any kind of clawback or, you know, further discussion with the developer, it would be at the discretion of the IDA. So I think it makes sense to state it clearly.
And that wouldn't impose any administrative burden on the board or staff to enforce it. If we were to receive notice that they're not in compliance, or Todd or whoever was to receive notice of that, we would verify that and then demand that they remedy it or that they're in default.
And that would
Jeff?
be no change from what we already have in place, correct?
It just
I mean,
adds
we
more
would be doing the same
specificity,
thing,
right. It adds more specificity with respect to the Prompt Payment Act. That's all it is.
Okay.
Deborah.
So it's implicit in all of our agreements that the developer has to comply with
New York State law. So, yeah.
applicable law,
Yes.
including local law. So does that apply to like failure to comply with OSHA or, you know, local environmental health standards?
Yes,
And if they don't?
we could put them in default. We'd have to do some diligence, of course, to confirm that they're in fact not in compliance with whatever applicable law that may be questioning, and then we would have to put them on default.
So if
I know where you're going.
if there was a judicial determination that the law hadn't been complied with,
Correct.
then that would be grounds for
It's a
clawback.
technical default under our documents.
Thank you.
But we'd have to rely on the judicial determination. We couldn't, if someone's just accused
No,
of
no,
it, right?
that's-
We couldn't, so we have to, in essence, let the court system play out.
That's correct.
Yes, and since that seems to already be in process, all we have to do is sit and wait.
But would we be, if we took action before that process goes through, would we be in violation? I mean, could we even do that?
We could advise a particular project that it's come to our knowledge that you potentially could be not in compliance with whatever law that may apply. And please respond whether or not that you are in compliance, and if you're not, how you plan on remedying the non-compliance. So you could put them on notice that we've been advised and are aware of potential non-compliance, and see if that, you know, gets any action as a result of that.
But then we would have to, I mean, if they say, hey, we are in compliance because of this, then it would fall on us to make a judgment call then, right? So, and
Potentially.
would that expose us?
Potentially. I think, as
That's
you
why-
noted, that
yeah.
there'd have to be it'd be, from a process standpoint, if we could get a judicial action
Yeah.
or a court order
Okay.
that you're,
At someone else's expense.
exactly.
Okay. I mean, but it doesn't preclude us from doing something initially.
No.
To make an attempt to
Exactly.
demonstrate that we,
No, but if you're going to default somebody, you want to make sure you have a basis for doing that.
right.
Although it wouldn't hurt to make somebody aware that
Correct.
we're watching, because if they lose this one, they're in default.
I'm sure that, I'm just surmising that the project to which you're referring is aware that we're watching.
Okay, yeah, everybody's watching. Thank you, Russ.
Todd.
Yeah, Russ, I want to thank you very much for for digging into this and coming up with that. I think it looks great. Thank you.
No problem, anytime.
So do we need a vote on this?
Yeah, we need to
Put it
vote
in
on this?
there, or-
I'd love to make the motion if you.
I don't think you need a vote. You could just advise, advise council to put this in the documents on all transactions going forward.
Yeah. Okay, we can proceed on that basis unless you want to put it up for vote. No? Okay. That seems to be the consensus. Let's add that to our documents.
Great.
Okay.
I want to thank
Thanks,
everyone,
Russ.
I want to thank everyone for that. Thank you. It means it's huge for the people employing local labor.
Yeah. Well, Todd, thank you for bringing it to our attention and making our documents more specific. Makes sense, giving good guidance to applicants. I think the next item is our 2026 Memorandum of Agreement with IAED. And I see it's up for discussion, but do we vote on this? We do, don't we?
You can,
Yeah.
yes, you do vote on it. You
Okay.
can choose to vote on it this month or wait until next month if you need more time to review it. It is pretty much cut and paste or cut and copy from last year's, just the dates have been changed and the amount increased.
Yeah. And just for the public, we did a pretty thorough overhaul of this last year. So this list of work areas has been reviewed recently. I don't see anything on it that I would be looking to change, but if anybody has anything. Are we comfortable considering it today, or do you want more time to
It's fine.
review? Okay, can I get a motion? Todd moves, Deborah seconds. All right, further discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. Duxon?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So there's progress. Yeah,
Thank you.
all right. Chair's report, I do not have any specific report other than what I'll share in executive session. Let's proceed to staff report and our Q3 financial report.
Yes, so the numbers that you have in front of you, this is on page 46 in your agenda packet. These are through September 30th. So this does not reflect the $500,000 that was taken out of the checking account and moved into the high interest savings account. So with that change, that would show a balance of $675,528 in the checking account as of October.
What? I'm confused because it does show the 500,000.
That was the first,
That was the first tranche that we did.
transfer?
Oh, okay, so we did another one.
Yes,
The Finance
boy.
Committee determined why not put more money in to
Right.
interest bearing because we can get it back out if we need it.
yep. It's available immediately.
Right.
And one note, the way that the report will look going forward in January is instead of the monthly breakdown of the interest earned down on the bottom left, that will be included up top in the income section, so that we'll have a full year of data to move forward with that. I don't have any other updates on the financial report other than that. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions? Okay. And we can look at the Loki Brill labor report.
Yes, we just have one project currently that is under review, and that is the Caramore Solar Project in the town of Ithaca. This is through October. And currently, they are at 59.31% for total project compliance. They did submit for a waiver that was approved, but it was approved later than what they were supposed to submit it for. So we made the agreement with them that they could get those bodies earned back at the end of the project. So to make it to kind of slap their hand a little for not submitting when they were supposed to. This has been a learning curve working with Loki Brill, but it's been really good. So if there are any questions there, I'm happy to take those.
Any questions? Okay.
Okay. And then just a couple of committee meeting updates. On November 20th, we will have a governance committee meeting that will be held at the IAED office. On December 6th, there will be a housing committee meeting held at the IAED office. And on December 9th, a finance and audit committee meeting, which will be the audit kickoff meeting, and that will also be held at the IAED office.
What time is the governance committee meeting?
That is at, let's see. Governance is at 1.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay. I didn't have it on my calendar, and something else got scheduled in the meantime. Okay, we'll have to figure that out.
Okay, no problem.
Or I'll have to figure it out in my other meeting. All right.
And that's all I have for staff report.
Okay, any questions for the administrative director? Next item, we have minutes from our October 8th, 2025 meeting. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes? Todd moves, Deborah seconds. Questions or comments on the minutes? Right. I'm going to take all in favor on that one. Okay, that's unanimous. And next item on the agenda is adjournment, but instead I'm going to ask for a recess because we will go to our Development Corporation because we have some people waiting for us here. And we'll go through that meeting and then we'll resume our IDA meeting and go into executive session at that point, if that's the will of the committee. So in the meantime, I would like to call to order the meeting of the Tompkins County Development Corporation for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Welcome, everybody. First item or second item is privilege of the floor. If there's anybody who still wishes to address the Development Corporation, seeing none, we'll proceed to any additions to the agenda. Is there anything added?
No additions. There is a deletion from the agenda, and that is the Block 14 update. No one was able to present this month, so they will be at next month's meeting.
Okay. I know they were looking for the third release of funds. Has that occurred?
It's in progress.
Okay. Okay. All right. Then first item of business is Friends of Ithaca Farmers Market update and request, and I think we have a guest with us. Monica?
We do. Monica Roth is here from Friends of the Farmers Market.
Oh.
And in your packet, you will find a recent letter from the Friends of the Farmers Market and also the initial request that they had made in January of this year, just for reference.
Thank you all for the time today and for the contribution, I guess you call it a contribution, that you made to Friends of the Farmers Market in January, because it really, at that point, the project wasn't really fully in gear. It had started, but we needed the match, and you really helped us get to the required match to receive the $3.8 million state grant, which I'm happy to report at this point we actually have stayed within budget, $3.8 billion. We will have spent that. It's hard to believe you can spend that on a parking lot, but it's done, and we're very pleased with it. We've had great feedback and comments about it. People are enjoying the safer walking area, the walkways that have been put in, and parking seems to, now that people have figured it out, it seems to be working pretty well. And you know, I think it's a much needed improvement, and what the feedback we're getting from visitors is love it. They all love it. That's the common word. And I was just talking to a friend who said that they always go to market, and they were talking to a visitor from Iowa or somewhere who specifically came to the market because we were voted #1 farmers market in the country this year by Newsweek magazine. And so it's phenomenal. I mean, you know, I feel like sometimes we don't congratulate ourselves enough about that sort of, you know, national award. So it's really great. And I, just listening to the other things that you deal with as a committee, this is pretty simple. We've been operating 50 some years, And this is the first time we've come to the county for help. This is the first time we've had such a big state grant. And so we've made it through this process. We're naive. I must say, managing a $3 million project is not something that was in my resume, but I feel like we did well. We paid all our bills on time. We have the final closeout, which is sort of where we're at now, about $565,000 that we can still bill the state to close out the grant. About half of that is already kind of paid for because we had to pay the contractor. There'll be some retainage that we have to pay. And so we have about, I think down to the very end, we have about $87,000 that is unspent. But we have some bills coming up for planting. That's kind of what people are looking for, the last thing. Where are all the plants? So they are coming. And so we should be closing out by the end of the year, but that doesn't mean we'll have everything paid off. And that's sort of why I'm coming back to ask for some additional support. We have a Park Foundation loan. We have a couple of private loans. So we would, and we will be needing to pay off the balance on our large loan from Farm Credit East. That, the document that I included said that we were still owing $790,000 in principal, but that has been paid largely by the last state refund that we got. So we're really only down to $65,000 that we owe Farm Credit. So we're in good shape, but still have some little dribs and drabs of money to pay, and to be free and clear on this project is really where we want to be, because honestly, Friends is an organization that started about 4 years ago. We really didn't have any money to sort of put towards this project. It's all been fundraising. And the farmers market, in this case, we were the contractor, but the farmers market has kicked in, but they're sort of at the end of their ability to kick in too, because they have used almost $70,000 of reserve funds, and that kind of almost wipes out their reserves. So we'd like to be able to end the project, which will probably not be till June next year, with a positive, financial situation. So $75,000 is what I'm asking for. Where did I come up with that number? It's just sort of, at this point, it'll help. It's based on what we owe. It's based on what I think we'll get back, and, a gap that we will have. So I'm happy to answer any questions. A few things are a little unknown until next month when we have some of our final invoices in hand.
Okay. See, Deborah?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little confused by the numbers in your document compared to what I just heard you say. So you said that the $790,000 was pretty much paid off?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. And then you said that you owed $65,000 on something.
Yeah, that's the amount of, that's the remaining principal on the loan that has not been paid after we paid this. What we got back from the state was $725,000.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. What we're paying towards the loan is $725,000. We're retaining a little bit of that money in our bank account just so we have some cash to pay little bills.
So your balance on that loan is about $65,000?
Yeah, that's the balance that we will owe Farm Credit. Oh, that's what we owe them as of today. I actually have a meeting with our loan officer right after this meeting, and we'll go over that. But that's what we owe them as of today.
Okay.
And we
So
owe,
farmers market was paying, what, interest only on this balance while you waited for the state refund? Is that, because the loan interest was $3,000 a month, I guess.
yeah, well, that was when it was a lot high. It was about up to $15,000, $16,000 a month when we were, when we owed them a lot more. We owed them $1.2 million at one point. So yeah, the interest now, I think to close out the project, the interest that we will owe is about $13,000 is what John gave me as a number. So, yeah, this, unfortunately, I left this document in. I should have updated it because the numbers, since we paid off that loan, have shifted. But when I do the numbers in terms of what we still owe in terms of park and the other loans, we still, have some outstanding loans beside the farm credit loan. So.
Jeff.
So thanks for the effort, and it's looking great down there. So question is, my understanding is this is your kind of the first project. Don't you have other projects that you're planning on doing down there? And if so, if you could describe them briefly?
Yeah, right. It was described as a phased project initially, and I think that's what sold it to the state too. The other phases are pavilion renovation and waterfront. The waterfront, Whittam has actually done kind of a design for it. We don't really like it, but
to expand the dock area or something like that?
Yeah, whole, where the picnic tables are and all that. Yeah. So that's renovation shouldn't be that costly, and it's something that I think we can do without state funds. Mm-hmm. I mean, we might still look for grants, but elsewhere. The building renovation was going to be modest. It wasn't the whole, take it down and rebuild it. That was initially the thought, but when we came up with the estimate of about 20 million, we just felt we couldn't deal with that. So we backed off and just looked at repairs, and it's still going to be surprisingly, 12 million or more. So I'm taking lessons from the friends at Stewart Park and kind of realizing the way they've moved forward on projects is piecemeal. I mean, they have a big vision, they break it down into smaller doable projects, which again, the market up to now, we haven't had to get a loan or, so this is the first time we ventured into this arena. So if it's smaller, we can probably handle it. Not to say we wouldn't take, but we can also handle smaller grants. I mean, having to get a loan for through whatever it was altogether, about 2 million, just and deal with the interest on that has been huge for us. So I think if we break it down over the next few years, we'll continue to make improvements. And we have some sort of exciting possibilities coming up. People approaching us about ways to possibly improve the dock, maybe a water taxi. So there's some things that, working with other people and collaborating, I think will also help us improve things. So yeah, we're still wanting to make improvements, but it'll be maybe at a different scale that we can manage better.
Okay. I'll jump in, I guess. Thank you for the invitation to the ribbon cutting. That was a really nice event. I was particularly interested in the engineer who talked about the drainage and all the stuff that is under the ground that you don't know is there, but he was talking about that horrendous rainstorm we just had like 3 weeks ago, and he said if you came down here, it would just, it just went away. And I'm very happy we were able to help you. I'm looking at page 9 of our packet to my colleagues, and that is our financial statement for the Development Corporation. And we've talked about this before, that it would be really great if we had a more active Development Corporation in terms of projects coming through, because I feel like this is one of the areas where the IDA has been able to be really creative and to make substantial improvements in our community. I'm thinking of during the pandemic helping the daycare centers with their HVAC systems. We were nimble, it was timely, it really mattered. And the commercial kitchen, certainly, Block 14, Farmers Market, but we're running out of available capital there. This seems like a very worthy use of funds, and I would support us putting some money in, but that's my only concern, is that I don't want the well to run dry here. But I'd welcome comment on that from anybody else.
Well, there's not much coming in and a fair amount going out.
Yeah, I mean, we still are getting projects through the Development Corporation, but just not, I would be happier if we had a much larger fund balance, and we don't.
And we don't see anything on the horizon, really.
I don't know. Kelly?
Russ and I had a discussion with one potential project, which would be nice, but it hasn't moved yet.
Plus, we have another request in the packet.
And it's
Yes,
a big
our meeting
one.
isn't over yet, is it? Is it? We're on the agenda. Well, what's the thinking? What do you think we could afford here? The request is for 75. We're at 284 in the account. I think we can do the 75, but we just have to be cognizant that,
I'd be willing to do the 65 so they can pay off their loan. That would
Okay.
be my suggestion.
65? Right?
That's a good compromise. Yeah.
Duxon, what do you think?
I agree.
Yeah? That consensus then? All right. Well,
Do we need to vote on
65?
it?
Monica, would that be of assistance?
Yes, any amount is of assistance.
Okay.
Monica, thank you really for your leadership on this project.
Thanks.
It's been remarkable, and all of the attention it's brought to Ithaca and just the fact that we have this wonderful market in our community,
Yeah.
and how well it's been handled. So I just really, I don't think you've been thanked enough publicly, so I would
Yeah,
just like to
appreciate
add that word of thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Can I get a motion at 65? Deborah moves, Duxon seconds. So this would be to take 65,000 from our development corporation fund balance and provide it to the Ithaca Farmers Market to pay off the commercial loan that they're holding right now. Yes? Okay. And we have mover and a seconder. All those in favor, Duxon?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes?
Jerry?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It'll be wonderful news for our board of directors tonight.
Okay.
Great timing.
Yeah, right.
All right. And then next up, I think we have some guests from Finger Lakes Reuse. I see Diane and Tim Page.
Yes, and one point of clarification I will make on the financial report is that with the Block 14 request of their final $30,000 draw, the actual balance is $254,530.
Oh, okay.
So after this $65,000 donation, the ending balance will be $189,530.
Okay.
So everyone's
Does that change
aware.
anybody's mind? No. All right. Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Before we get started, Rich, I think
Yeah,
I need to at least ask you, Russ. I am on the citing committee for reuse, which is the group asking for. I'm not on their board, and I will not benefit financially from any monies that they may receive from TCDC, but I'm just not sure if I have a conflict of interest that I should step back.
I think if you have the requisite votes, potentially, from an optics standpoint, it might be best for you to recuse and step out,
Okay.
even though there's no legal conflict of interest.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Are you comfortable with that, Jerry?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Diane, welcome.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. Do you want me to give a,
Yeah, why don't you
quick
give us 2
overview?
minutes? 2 minutes.
okay. Yeah, so, good to see everyone. I'm actually reporting from Cooperstown. I'm at the NICE 3 DEC conference, recycling and reuse. Leo Riley's here as well, sends his regards. Just because we haven't come to this body before, I just want to give a quick snippet of how Finger Lakes Reuse was formed. We're a 501c3 charitable nonprofit organization, and we were formed as a public-private partnership by the request of Tompkins County back in 2007 is when we incorporated our missions to enhance community, economy, and environment through reuse, and our founding goals are to reduce waste, relieve poverty, and teach skills through reuse activities. So I was part of a team that took on nearly 3 years of planning between 2005 and 2008 with support from Tompkins County, Cooperative Extension. Monica was there back then. She helped us get our first $148,000 Appalachian Regional Commission grant. Cornell University, Ithaca College were at the table. We based our strategies and our business plan on a series of interviews and surveys that were administered by the Chamber of Commerce. Cooperative Extension helped us. The Industrial Development Agency actually distributed surveys for us to manufacturers, potential generators, and consumers of reusable materials. Cornell was involved talking to students. And the results, which became the foundation of our organization, was that for generators, reuse has to be convenient, and for consumers, it has to be affordable. So really, that's been the foundation that we've been kind of growing from ever since. Sometimes we're asked, how are we different from a traditional thrift store? We're actually extremely unique. And, I think Tompkins County and you as public servants should be proud with us that we've created a model that is unlike anything else, and it's getting a lot of attention and traction at the state level and beyond. And we've been able to bring in millions of dollars in grant funding, and there's more coming. So even with Goodwill opening in our market in April, we still are hitting our budgeted sales goals. And we were hoping that our donations might soften a little bit, which they have, but that we're still receiving record donations over last year, even with Goodwill now in this market, just another demonstration of how much opportunity there is. So based on the kind of this foundation of convenience and affordability, we've grown from opening in a 7,000 square foot warehouse 17 years ago. This week, actually, we opened 17 years ago. And we had 7 employees, and now we have 89 employees. We have 2 retail locations and 2 warehouses where we're storing overflow material that our staff can't quite get to. The pressure to grow as a result of this public engagement, which is in the form of about 200 average daily donation drop-offs, and we're doing about 600 transactions at the cash register daily on average. We went into a strategic planning process last year to try to figure out, what our priorities are. So one other piece with our sales, we've had a metric even through our growth over the last decade, what we call our sales to production ratio, that even as we grow, it's remained stable. And essentially, the more we put on the shelves, the more the public buys. So the bottleneck has really been our staff capacity and some of the layout inefficiencies that we have in our current operations. So we've also been 65 to 80% self-supporting throughout our growth, throughout the entire history of the organization, through earned revenues, program and service fees, merchandise sales, with 20 to 35% coming from public and private sources. So we have an opportunity to expand our capacity. We're excited about it. We can't really state the specifics publicly, but we have never had a loading dock, even though we've been moving stuff in and out of trucks for 17 years. The facility we're looking at has a loading dock. We have an opportunity to move into more of a working warehouse environment where we incorporate our workforce development programs, which have been really successful and respected, into this more warehouse kind of concerted, organized area, as opposed to the storage warehouses that we have offsite and the inefficient moving around of materials. We'll be able to consolidate things. And we'll also be able to expand our retail capacity significantly. We are selling some of our overflow materials, kind of the Goodwill, traditional thrift style, into global marketplaces for pennies on the dollar when we know there are local demands for these materials. So trying to drive more of these materials into local and regional markets is one of our strategic priorities. So the facility and the growth step we're looking at in our 2026 budget, we've got, I think we've got about $1.8 million in contributed revenue, public and private sources, and about $1 million, maybe slightly more, is already committed from a huge variety of sources. And if you want specifics, happy to provide those. So we have a remaining $715,000 fundraising goal. Of course, we've been turning to our original partner. I've already spoken with Leo and asking if he has any room to help us take this growth step. His budget is tight with, I think, recycling commodities being kind of depressed over the last few years. But we're excited to be at least talking to this body about our needs. So we put in a request for $250,000. We expect to do earned revenues of well over $3 million next year. I think we spoke to the sales tax in our letter, but we're projecting that over the next 5 years, we'll collect $2 million just in sales tax alone, over $500,000 of which will go directly to Tompkins County, and another $500,000 distributed among the county municipalities. And so, and we currently have 89 employees, and in next year's budget, this would help us bring that number to 98 or 80 full-time equivalent employees. Some of that growth is from a grant from the USDA to help reduce waste. And so we're asking this board to help us keep up the momentum that we've been building and to help us take this critical growth step.
Okay. That was a lot of information. Why don't we see if any the board members have questions? Diane, I would certainly say I am a super user or reuser. I shop at your locations on a regular basis. I think it's a great service you provide to the community. And certainly from the standpoint of creating jobs, I've always been impressed. And your participation in the Career Pathways Initiative, you and I have worked on that for a long time. And I went to a meeting Monday, and it's thriving. And that came from a lot of the work you did. So kudos. Certainly, I think this is an effort we would want to support. At least I think so. But you just heard our discussion about the fund balance we have available in the Development Corporation. I would not want to run that down too low. But perhaps it's something where we could provide some funding and then indicate that you could come back to the well if there's a project that comes through the Development Corporation that gave us more resources to apply. But I'd welcome conversation with other board members on that. Jeff, did you have something?
Yeah, Diane, thanks very much for the information. So can you help me understand what's the difference between Ithaca Reuse and Goodwill that you mentioned, and also, say, for example, the Salvation Army? Do you serve different markets? What's different between you and the other two?
Yeah, two things is there's, I think, a misperception that there's a market to divide up. The market's huge. The space is huge. So like I said, Goodwill coming in didn't really even make a dent in our sales. We found out after we approved our budget that they were coming in, and we're still within 2% of our budgeted expectations this year. The fundamental difference between us and what I call traditional thrift, which is Goodwill, Habitat Restores, Salvation Army, and we're all friends, actually. We're in meetings with Goodwill's high-level operations people. We're looking at ways we can collaborate because there's so much material, there's so much market, so much supply, so much demand. So we're actually, the theme of this conference, the New York State Association for Reduce, Reuse, and Recycling, is collaboration because the problem is so gigantic and the opportunity is equally so. But traditional thrift, fundamentally, the way Finger Lakes Reuse is different and why we're kind of set apart from all thrift is our waste reduction charge. We were born out of the county's desire to reduce waste through reuse. And that is not the priority of a Goodwill or a Salvation Army. Traditional thrift stores have been kind of capitalizing on the abundance to raise money for their perfectly good and worthy other missions. For Goodwill, it's creating job opportunities. For Salvation Army, they've got their food and housing. And so they're all really worthy, but they don't have waste reduction as a priority, and therefore what is happening is a lot of stuff, what we've learned over the last 17 years is things come in surges. They don't come in, we have to be very responsive to people calling us and say, take it today or it's going in the dumpster. And it could be truckloads of things, it could be a few things, but we get these surges that if there's not infrastructure to absorb it and manage it, the cheapest thing for, what Goodwill has been doing as a practice is it either sorts stuff and sells it on the commodities market, bales of textiles, housewares, And those tend to go to developing countries who also don't have the infrastructure. So they're high grading off the top of that, and then it becomes a waste problem somewhere else. Or the other thing that's the cheapest to do, and we do this a little bit too, although far less, I think, than the average thrift store. The other cheap thing to do is to put it in the dumpster. I mean, that's what contractors do. That's what all sorts of people do, is the dumpster is the cheapest, easiest, straightest path operationally. And so stuff is getting disposed. So we're trying to disrupt that. We've tried to create convenience. We're demonstrating actively that the public really wants to have the right thing done with their stuff.
Okay.
People ask if at donations, could we be more selective? Our staff they are filtering stuff, they're rejecting things. They do not want to carry things into the building and then back out to a dumpster. So they're only taking things they think have a market.
Okay. Does that answer the question?
Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Diane, let's see if, let's see what the sense of the Development Corporation is on this. I think we have the capacity to fund $50,000 here, but I'd love to hear a reaction to that.
That would put us at what, about 130?
139.
139? I'd be comfortable with that.
Duxon?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that too. And I know that there's, Diane said that. By the way, I also highly support the mission, and I appreciate Diane's work on this for decades. It's a huge resource in the community. But I guess I can appreciate that there's some sensitivity that you can't talk about things in great detail. But I think typically we do have more kind of details, right, so that we know exactly what we're investing in. For example, with Shared Kitchenistica, we asked for a whole feasibility study. That said, I think the reuse center has proven itself over and over again, so I'd be happy to support 50.
Yeah, my understanding, this would be used for transitional development into new space. Is that correct, Diane?
Yes, to fit up a new place and get it up and running, and to expand our warehouse services. We're anticipating a need of right now the gap is $715,000 that we're looking to fill.
Yeah,
and we think that the benefit to Tompkins County has merit to ask for support, knowing that you're going to get that back, at least in the form of sales tax, and also people that are not receiving public benefits. They're actually working in good quality jobs, and reduce waste costs, of course.
Okay. Any further comment? Do we want to put this on the floor in the form of a motion? Todd moves, Duxon seconds. Further discussion? Deborah, you're looking dubious.
No, I just, I would suggest that in the future, I know, Diane, you are so ambitious to expand the operations and meet every need, but it would be helpful, I think, if you broke stuff down into smaller pieces and asked for smaller amounts of money each time, because it's easier for us to respond to a request like that than this massive $250,000 comprehensive, more staff, more space, more resources. That would just be my thought.
Would it be helpful to put this off for a month and try to get a more detailed?
No, I'm fine with the 50,000.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. We have a motion on the floor then. Are we ready to vote? I'll call Duxon.
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes?
Jeff?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, and we have one abstention. Okay. Well, congratulations, Diane.
Great, thank you. And what about timing for coming back, like smaller chunks? What is, we're not really familiar with the Development Corporation, so would welcome some guidance.
Yeah, what I would suggest is if you keep in touch with Kelly, and you can just check if there have been projects coming through the Development Corporation, because that's how we develop fund balance, is by doing projects. And if there's money available, I think it would be ripe to ask a future Development Corporation board for further assistance. And hopefully there'll be
Great.
projects in the near future.
Wonderful.
Also,
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate
Incidentally,
it.
Hold on one second, Diane.
Incidentally, would the reuse center be an eligible organization to take advantage of TCDC financing?
Yes, absolutely.
We're also a resource in that way.
Yeah, if you're going to a bank to borrow, we are a funding source. We can arrange financing.
Okay, that's great to know. And so we can follow up with Kelly on that as well?
Yes, you can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for that, Doc. Really appreciate the thought.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
thank you. All right. Okay, moving through the agenda. We have the 2026 Memorandum of Agreement with IAED discussion, and that's on page 6 of your packet. And again, we did a pretty thorough review of this last year, but if there's further comment.
Been no changes to what we.
I believe, yeah, it was just the dates were changed on this one, and the funding is carried forward on the IDA side, so there isn't any change to dollar figures here. Questions, comments? Duxon?
I have a only tangentially related thing. When does the new head of IAD start?
January 5th.
Great. And I assume we'll have a chance to meet him and everything.
Yeah. Okay. We want to vote on this now then? Mm-hmm. Get a motion? Deborah moves, Todd seconds. All right. Further discussion? Duxon?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So, great. That's taken care of. I do not have a chair's report. You know, I probably should have brought it up on the IDA, but there was the article in the Ithaca Times. If you hadn't had a chance to see it, one of our guest speakers, our guests spoke about it. You know, and I did get a chance to speak with the reporter. I don't think that I pulled one over on the reporter, but I did share further information. And I sure wish that the students who had prepared this study had contacted us and had some direct communication. You know, and you can read the article, but so I won't repeat myself from there, but I would like to hear from these groups that are critical of IDAs and the work that we do, what their plan would be for economic development. I mean, if it's not an IDA, it could be something else, but if the answer is, well, we just won't have any affirmative economic development program, that's kind of a scary prospect in my mind. I think we do need to be assertive and try to control this process in some way. Because certainly some development will happen organically, but I'm not convinced that we would see the growth that we've achieved here in Tompkins County without really working at it. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was disappointed in the article that they didn't even, to your point, contact us to understand how much value we've added to the, you know, the tax base over X amount of years and how much that's generated in real estate taxes. And it just goes back to the criticisms that we have as IDA. I just don't feel like there's a fundamental understanding that a lot of these projects will not get built if we don't provide certain funding. And we can see it with when we even do provide incentives. You know, we've got 4 or 5 or 6 projects now that still haven't been able to get built. So, and I haven't seen a project that we've turned down that has been built, so.
Yeah. Anyway, that conversation I'm sure will continue, but yeah.
And Rich,
Okay. Duxon.
I want to apologize too. So the students, the Cornell students who worked on that report, they were undergrads, by the way. So, you know, sorry, I'm not going to cast any aspersions on anyone's work, but but they did interview me for it, and I don't think I alerted the IDA to it. I don't think I might have reached out. I probably didn't, and I feel bad about that. I just I respond to them as an elected official who is accessible to the public all the time, and I get requests like that all the time, and I just tend to be as transparent as possible. But it would have been, I wish I'd told Kelly, hey, this is happening. If they don't reach out to you, make sure you reach out to them. But I neglected to do that.
No need to apologize. And it looked like they just asked you very specific questions, and you answered those questions. You didn't have a chance to respond more broadly to the assertions they made in this study.
Right.
Yeah. Well, next time, I'm sure we'll.
And I had planned on attending the press conference that they had until I actually read through the entire report that they did, and absolutely not. I am not stepping foot anywhere near there.
They didn't do their homework.
Yeah, Deborah.
No, they did not. They didn't. It was very high level.
I did find it exquisitely ironic that Cornell was issuing this report, considering how little the university contributes to the local school district. But that was not mentioned.
Good
point.
Yeah, it's hard to know what to say, but there it is.
It's just an observation.
Yeah. Okay.
We just need to start waxing our handlebar mustaches. Get our,
Who shall we tie to the railroad tracks today?
Yeah, we got to get better at that.
And that's not to say we shouldn't be subject to criticism. We can disagree with what we're trying to do, but it should be done in a kind of more straightforward manner and in a forum where you have an opportunity to respond.
Well, and to your point, Rich, I love it when people tell us the problems, but also, hey, provide some solutions, some suggested solutions. But
Would love to hear the option.
People don't like to like to provide that, because that's the tough part. Is it's easier to identify a problem. It's tougher to identify solutions that would work.
Yes. Well, certainly, a lot of the criticism seems to be coming from groups that say school districts should be treated differently and they should be excluded from tax abatements. But if you do that,
that's the bulk of the taxes.
Right. And it's unclear to me why, as a government entity, taxing jurisdiction, why they should get the benefits of the economic growth if they're not participating in the work to get it done, in the deals. But I guess I don't think we'll convince anybody of that. Anyway, I guess I did have a chair's report. I vented, sorry about that. Staff report.
Staff report, we have the Q3 financial report that we all are pretty familiar with at this point, I think, on page 9. Any questions on this? No? Okay,
All right.
that's it.
And we have minutes from October 8th, 2025. Could I get a motion to put those on the floor?
So moved.
Todd moves, Jerry seconds. Questions or comments? Take a hand vote on that. All those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Is there any other business to come before the Development Corporation? All right, I will entertain an adjournment of the Development Corporation, and we'll come out of recess at the IDA. And I would ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss financial negotiations on a specific project. Deborah moves. Jerry seconds. All those in favor? All right. So we'll take a few minutes to go offline. I do not anticipate we will take any action after coming out of executive session. Thanks.